Your resume seems embellished, the interviewer said dismissively. I doubt you have actually handled major accounts like these. My chest tightened as 15 years of hard work were brushed aside with a single sentence. The weight of my dwindling bank account pressed down as I sat straighter. Every achievement listed is genuine, I said quietly. The market expansion strategy I developed. Anyone can write numbers on paper. The interviewer cut me off with a thin smile without backing from a prestigious firm. These claims are questionable at best. 8 months ago, I was directing projects across 5 countries until new ownership pushed out experienced directors for their inner circle. Now I was on my 73rd interview, facing the same wall of doubt. The interviewer tapped my resume with a pen. This client portfolio seems particularly far-fetched. The side door swung open. A person in an expensive suit walked in, stopped mid-stride and stared at me. It is you, they exclaimed with genuine warmth. The miracle worker who saved us last year when every consultant said our product line was doomed. Your strategy completely turned things around. The interviewer mouth opened slightly. That is precisely why I am here today, the client continued. We want to triple our investment with your firm. Is he joining your team? Because that would seal the deal immediately. Before I continue this incredible story, I need you to know something. Have you ever been underestimated? Ever had someone look at you and decide your worth before you even spoke? If you felt that burn of injustice, you will want to stay until the very end. Because what happens next changed not just my life, but an entire industry. My name is Ronald Vance. At 49, I had built my career in international market strategy from nothing. Growing up in a small Midwestern town where boys were expected to follow their fathers into the local mill, I had defied expectations by working 3 jobs to put myself through business school. My analytical mind, combined with genuine empathy for consumer needs, had become my professional signature. I had cultivated the ability to see patterns others missed and translate those insights into profitable strategies. But sitting in that interview room at Zenith Advisors, none of that seemed to matter to Eleanor Croft, the talent officer, whose pencil-thin eyebrows had remained raised throughout our entire conversation. After the client, Grant Ford, chief executive officer of one of North America's fastest-growing consumer goods companies, left the room, Eleanor's entire demeanor transformed. Her rigid posture softened, the critical edge in her voice disappeared. Well, this is certainly unexpected, she said, adjusting her glasses. Grant is notoriously difficult to impress. Tell me more about how you worked with his company. I took a measured breath. I designed their Southeast Asian market entry strategy last year. Their previous consultants had recommended against expansion, citing cultural barriers, but I identified specific regional opportunities they had overlooked. Eleanor nodded enthusiastically as if she had not spent the previous 20 minutes questioning my capabilities. Fascinating. And the results? 37% growth in their first 2 quarters, outperforming initial projections by double digits. Impressive, she said, scribbling notes. We should accelerate your application. In fact, given your experience, we might consider you for our senior director position. The compensation would be quite generous. The whiplash from contempt to courtship gave me emotional vertigo. Just moments ago, she had practically called me a liar. The position requires someone who commands respect, she continued, oblivious to the irony. Someone with gravitas. I watched her rewrite our shared reality in real time. The dismissive interviewer was gone. In her place sat an enthusiastic advocate who had recognized my potential immediately. To Eleanor, my 15 years of hard work were only visible when validated by an influential client like Grant. I sat in that leather chair, feeling a deep sense of anger, but also a strange sort of clarity. I knew that if I accepted their offer now, I would be entering a corporate culture that would always measure my worth based on external approval rather than my actual contributions. I looked at the glossy brochures on the desk, then back at Eleanor, who was now smiling warmly, awaiting my response. The contract was practically on the table, but I needed time to make a decision that would define the rest of my career. I stood up, gathered my materials, and told her I would consider the offer over the weekend. She looked surprised by my lack of immediate enthusiasm, but she nodded and promised to call me on Monday. I walked out of the building and felt the fresh air hit my face, knowing my path was about to change. I walked through the busy city streets, the noise of traffic fading into the background as my thoughts raced. I had spent 8 months begging for an opportunity, and now that one was handed to me, I wanted nothing to do with it. The realization was liberating, and I knew I had to take control of my own destiny. I needed to build something that belonged to me, something that would prove that real capability did not require the validation of arrogant corporate gatekeepers like Eleanor. As I boarded the train home, the spark of an idea began to take shape in my mind, a plan that would turn my years of experience into a shield and a sword against the system that had tried to dismiss me. I spent the entire evening reviewing my old client lists and notes, realizing that my 15 years of expertise were more than enough to launch my own independent strategic consultancy. As I walked back to my small apartment, my mind drifted back to 8 months earlier. I had been senior strategy director at Nexus Analytics when a venture capital firm acquired us. The new chief executive officer, Julian Cole, had called me to his office on a Tuesday morning. "Ronald, your track record is stellar," he had said while examining his cuticles. "But we are implementing a more aggressive growth model, requiring different leadership chemistry." Translation: the boys' club was closing ranks, but with a twist. Julian was replacing the older, experienced directors with his own younger associates from business school. Within 6 weeks, all 5 senior directors were replaced by men and women from Julian Network. Most had less experience, but the right energy for the new vision. My severance package was supposed to be generous, designed to prevent lawsuits rather than honor contribution. However, Julian forced me to sign a separation agreement and forged my signature on an addendum that claimed I was terminated for cause, which blocked my full severance and placed a broad non-compete clause on my future consulting. At first, I had been confident with my experience and results. Finding a new position seemed inevitable. But 72 interviews later, I had encountered countless versions of Eleanor Croft. People who could not reconcile my achievements with their perception of who should have achieved them. We could have an offer prepared by tomorrow, Eleanor was saying now. "I will just need to confer with the executive team, but after grant endorsement, it is practically a formality." I looked at her, noting how her earlier contempt had vanished completely. "That is quite a shift in perspective," I said carefully. She laughed lightly. "Well, Grant is our highest billing client. His opinion carries significant weight, and my 15 years of extensive experience did not." Her smile faltered. "I hope you understand that we have to be thorough in our vetting process. Many candidates exaggerate their track records." "You were not being thorough," I interrupted quietly. "You decided I was unqualified the moment I walked in." "That is not true," she protested, color rising in her cheeks. "I was simply asking challenging questions. You called my achievements far-fetched and questionable." "Those were not questions, they were accusations." Eleanor straightened papers that did not need straightening. "Perhaps there was a miscommunication, but what matters now is that we are very interested in bringing you on board." I gathered my portfolio slowly. "I appreciate that. When can I expect to hear about next steps?" Her relief was palpable. "I will call you personally by tomorrow afternoon." As promised, Eleanor called the next day with an offer significantly above the advertised salary range. I requested the weekend to consider it, which she granted enthusiastically. That weekend changed everything. Saturday morning, I sat at my kitchen counter, staring at the offer letter. The compensation would solve my immediate financial concerns. But something felt wrong. I thought about all the qualified people who had been dismissed without a grant forward to champion them. My phone chimed with a message from Nadia Boyd, my former colleague from Nexus Analytics. We had been meeting monthly for coffee since the acquisition. "Still on for tomorrow? Have news?" her text read. The next morning at our usual cafe, Nadia radiated excitement. At 57, she had an energy that belied her age and wisdom that reflected her 3 decades in business intelligence. "I have been consulting with 3 former Nexus clients," she revealed. They all asked the same thing. Why is there not a firm that combines data intelligence with cultural insight? The big firms have the numbers but miss the human element. I nodded, remembering how often our recommendations at Nexus had been challenged by executives who could not see beyond spreadsheets. So I have been thinking, Nadia continued, leaning forward. What if we created that firm? You, me, maybe bring in Yvette for her digital expertise. Yvette Nance had been our digital transformation lead at Nexus, another casualty of the acquisition. You mean start our own company? I asked. Exactly. Between us, we have contacts across 4 continents. My severance is still intact, and I am guessing yours is too. I pulled out the Zenith offer letter and slid it across the table. Nadia scanned it and whistled. Impressive figure, but your face tells me you are not thrilled. The talent officer spent 20 minutes telling me my experience was not credible until their client walked in and recognized me. And now they are desperate to hire you, Nadia said, understanding immediately. Classic. If I take this job, I am entering another company where my value is determined by who validates me, not what I have accomplished. Nadia handed back the letter. So, what is your alternative? For the first time in months, energy surged through me. Maybe you just suggested it. We sat in that quiet corner of the cafe for hours, mapping out our future, realizing that the very corporate structures that had cast us aside were about to become our biggest competitors. We would build something different, a firm that valued actual results over pedigree and credentials. By the time I left the cafe, the path ahead was clear, and my resolve was stronger than ever. We would call it Prism strategies, representing the way different perspectives can come together to reveal opportunities that others miss. It was a risky move, but as I walked back to my apartment, the fear was entirely replaced by a sense of purpose I had not felt in 8 long months. We pooled our severance packages and rented a modest space, ready to prove that the corporate world was wrong about us. Over the next 3 hours, we sketched the outline of what would become Prism strategies. Our vision was a consultancy specializing in markets the big firms considered challenging, regions they typically approached with Western-centric models that missed crucial cultural nuances. By Monday morning, I had drafted a respectful decline to Zenith advisors and scheduled calls with Yvette and 2 other former colleagues who had been sidelined during the Nexus acquisition. Eleanor's response came within minutes of my email. This is disappointing. Perhaps we can increase the compensation package. Grant specifically asked about you this morning. I replied that my decision was not about money, thanked her for her time, and closed my laptop with a finality that felt liberating. The first 6 months of building Prism were the most challenging and rewarding of my career. Nadia, Yvette, and I pooled our severance packages as startup capital. We worked from Nadia converted garage, using our industry connections to secure initial meetings. Our first breakthrough came unexpectedly. Dwight Gable, a mid-level manager at a consumer electronics company, had been in one of my workshops years earlier. He reached out after hearing I had started a new venture. My team has been pushing for Southeast Asian expansion, but our consultants say the markets are not ready, he explained. I remembered how you approach similar challenges. Would you consider providing an alternative assessment? The project budget was modest, but the opportunity was perfect. We spent 3 weeks developing a comprehensive analysis that identified specific entry points overlooked by traditional metrics. When we presented our findings, the room energy shifted from skepticism to excitement. 2 vice presidents who had not been scheduled to attend showed up midway through. This is exactly what we have been trying to articulate, one said afterward. You have quantified the opportunity while addressing the cultural complexities. That single project led to 3 referrals, each slightly larger than the last. By month 4, we had hired 2 analysts and moved into a small office space. Then came the industry conference that would change everything. The annual Global Markets Summit was the premier gathering for our industry. Normally, a startup like Prism would not have warranted attention, but Yvette had previously chaired the technology panel and leveraged that connection to secure us a small presentation slot on the secondary stage. Our topic, Invisible Markets, identifying overlooked growth opportunities, was not designed to be provocative. We simply presented case studies showing how traditional assessment models systematically undervalued certain regions and demographics. What we did not know was that Grant Ford would be in our audience. When the questions began, Grant stood up. Your methodology challenges everything the major firms have been telling my board. How confident are you in these projections? I recognized him immediately, but maintained my professional composure. Our models have consistently outperformed traditional projections by 23 to 41% in these markets. We have the data to support every assertion we have made today. You certainly do, he said with a smile. Your strategy transformed our business last year. I am curious why you are not with Zenith Advisors now. I specifically recommended you to them. The room grew quiet. Zenith was one of the conference major sponsors, with their chief executive officer scheduled to deliver the next day keynote. I decided to pursue a different opportunity, I replied diplomatically. Grant nodded thoughtfully. Well, their loss is apparently significant. My team would like to hear more about your current work. Are you taking new clients? Selectively, I answered. The buzz began immediately after our session. Attendees who had skipped our presentation requested private meetings. Industry reporters who had been focused on the major firms suddenly wanted Prism sectors. But the most significant moment came that evening at the networking reception. I was speaking with a potential client when I noticed Eleanor Croft watching me from across the room. Beside her stood Zenith Chief Executive Officer Gerald Thorne, his expression tense as Grant approached me with purpose. "Ronald," Grant called, loud enough for nearby conversations to pause. "I have spoken with our board. We want to transition our entire APEC strategy work to Prism." Eleanor face drained of color. "That is a substantial portfolio," I said, aware of the attention we were attracting. "Worth every penny based on your previous results," Grant replied. "Besides, we have been dissatisfied with our current consultant limited vision." I felt Eleanor's stare intensify as she whispered urgently to Gerald. "We would be honored to discuss the opportunity," I said professionally. "Excellent, and fair warning. I have already mentioned your firm to several colleagues from other companies. Expect some calls." This moment was the validation we had worked so hard to achieve, a sign that our methodology was correct. We stood in that crowded hall, surrounded by industry leaders, and realized that our startup was no longer just a small venture in a garage. We were a force that the major players could no longer ignore, and the look of sheer panic on Eleanor's face was only the beginning of our success. The industry was shifting under their feet, and we were the ones driving the change. We had established Prism as a major player in the global consulting arena. As Grant walked away, Gerald and Eleanor immediately intercepted him. Their conversation appeared tense, with Grant shaking his head repeatedly. Later that evening, Gerald approached me at the bar. "Ronald, is it?" "Gerald Thorne, Chief Executive Officer of Zenith Advisors. I understand there was some confusion during your interview process with us." "No confusion," I replied evenly. "Your talent officer made her assessment quite clear until Grant changed her mind." Gerald winced slightly. "Sometimes, our processes do not properly identify exceptional talent. I would like to personally apologize and explore whether there might still be a fit between your expertise and our organization." I met his gaze directly. "That is kind of you, but Prism is my focus now. Perhaps a strategic partnership then? Your boutique approach combined with our global resources could be powerful." Before I could respond, Nadia appeared at my side. "Sorry to interrupt, but our next appointment has arrived." No such appointment existed, but her timing was perfect. "Of course," I said, turning back to Gerald. "It was nice meeting you." The conference marked a turning point for Prism. Within 3 months, we had secured contracts with 7 major clients, including Grant Company. Our team grew to 17 people, each hired not just for their technical skills, but for their diverse perspectives and experiences. If you are enjoying this story so far, I want you to hit that like button right now. Subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell because we share these real-life business stories weekly. Stories about underestimated professionals who completely transform industries after being dismissed. Your support helps us bring more of these authentic experiences to light. Now, let me tell you what happened next because the real revenge was just beginning. Our rapid growth necessitated a larger workspace. We found a light-filled office in a converted warehouse district. Nothing extravagant, but with room to expand. I insisted our conference room have glass walls facing the main work area. Transparency would be literal at Prism, not just a buzzword on a mission statement. 6 months after the conference, our client roster had tripled. We had expanded to 28 team members, each bringing unique perspectives shaped by diverse experiences. When most firms sought graduates from the same 5 universities, we discovered brilliant minds from schools that were completely ignored by our competitors. Vera, our research director, who had been rejected by 12 major firms despite her groundbreaking market prediction models, revamped our entire analytical framework. Milo, a 60-year-old former teacher who had gotten his business degree after 30 years in education, brought psychological insights that transformed our client communication strategy. What made our approach revolutionary was not just our diverse hiring, it was our methodology. Traditional firms filtered all market data through established Western economic models. We inverted the process, examining markets through local cultural contexts first, then applying economic analysis. The results consistently outperformed industry standards by staggering margins. One Tuesday morning, 13 months after founding Prism, Yvette burst into my office waving her tablet. "You need to see this," she said, placing it before me. The industry newsletter headline read, "Zenith launches new division Horizon Markets." The article detailed how Zenith was creating a specialized unit focused on undervalued international markets with unique cultural considerations, using nearly identical language to Prism marketing materials. "They are copying our entire model," Yvette said, crossing arms. I skimmed the article, and guess who was heading the division? It was Eleanor Croft. Yvette's eyes widened. "The same woman who said your experience was not credible." The very same. Later that day, Nadia discovered something even more concerning. Zenith had scheduled meetings with 3 of our biggest clients, offering similar services at significantly reduced rates. "They are undercutting us by 30%, Nadia reported. "They can afford to operate at a loss to capture market share." I leaned back in my chair, considering our options. They can copy our approach and undercut our prices, but they cannot replicate our team or thinking. Let us accelerate development of the assessment framework. The framework Nadia and I had been developing was our most innovative creation yet, a talent assessment model that identified overlooked potential in job candidates by evaluating skills through scenario-based challenges rather than traditional credentials. "It is still in beta," Nadia cautioned. "Then we will refine it faster. This is not just about business anymore. It is about proving our entire philosophy works." Over the next 3 weeks, we worked relentlessly to perfect the framework. We knew that Zenith resources were vast, but our dedication and unique perspective were things they could never duplicate, and we were prepared to fight for our business. We worked late into the night, analyzing data and testing scenarios, driven by the knowledge that our competitor was trying to destroy the company we had built from scratch. Every line of code, every strategic decision was designed to reinforce our core message. True talent cannot be simulated or replaced by corporate clones. We would face them head-on, not with price cuts, but with superior capability and intellectual depth that their bureaucratic structure could never match. Our assessment system was our shield, and we were ready to deploy it. When we tested our talent framework with a client, the results exceeded our expectations. The system identified exceptional candidates who had been previously filtered out by conventional screening. "Excellence does not follow a single pattern," I explained to our team. Word spread quickly. Instead of just helping companies find overlooked markets, we now help them find overlooked talent to develop those markets. 2 months later, Zenith Director of Client Services, Desmond Miller, requested a meeting to discuss acquiring Prism. I agreed, insisting Eleanor Croft be present. The meeting was scheduled for the following Thursday at Zenith headquarters. I arrived early, accompanied by Nadia and our legal counsel, Irene Finch. Gerald Thorne greeted us warmly, while Eleanor stood behind him, her smile tight. I asked how they envisioned integrating our team. Eleanor smoothly proposed that Prism would become an innovation hub, but our talent framework would need to align with their recruitment parameters to ensure quality consistency. She was trying to dismantle the very system we built. I noted this carefully. Gerald then offered a generous purchase price and a senior leadership position for me, reporting directly to Eleanor. I declined to discuss numbers immediately, showing them instead a visualization of our clients' performance data, Both Gerald and Eleanor were stunned by the magnitude of our outperformance. I explained that our success was due to our diverse hiring and unique perspective. Eleanor argued that Zenith had specific standards to maintain. I quietly asked if those were the same standards that led her to dismiss my experience during my interview. The room went silent. I then presented our counterproposal. Prism must operate as an independent division with complete autonomy over hiring and methodology, and we would create a new department dedicated to inclusive hiring practices with authority to review and override standard recruitment processes. Eleanor declared this completely unacceptable, as it would control hiring across the entire organization. Before Gerald could speak, Irene Finch opened her briefcase and slid a separate binder across the table. "We also have a few legal matters to address," Irene said calmly. "First, we have initiated a review under the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, also known as the Warren Act, under Title 29 of the United States Code, Section 2101. When Nexus Analytics laid off 70 senior directors 8 months ago without the required 60 days written notice, Zenith shared liability as they were negotiating to acquire Nexus assets. We have prepared a class action filing representing 55 of the terminated directors. Second, we have evidence of a breach of fiduciary duty. Before Nexus was acquired, Eleanor Croft secretly colluded with Julian Cole to sell Nexus proprietary strategy models to Zenith at a massive undervaluation, in exchange for Eleanor promising Julian an equity stake at Zenith. Finally, we have the matter of Ronald Vance's severance agreement. Julian Cole forged Ronald's signature on an addendum that claimed Ronald was terminated for cause, which is a violation of California Penal Code, Section 470, constituting criminal forgery. Any agreement containing forged signatures is void from the beginning, meaning Ronald's non-compete is invalid, and he is owed his full severance of $350,000 plus damages. We have the email logs confirming the collusion. If we proceed to trial, this will expose Zenith to civil damages, criminal liability, and a public relations disaster. Eleanor sat frozen, completely drained of color. Gerald stared at the documents, then turned to Eleanor. "Is this true?" he demanded. Eleanor tried to speak, but no words came. Gerald closed the folder and said they would discuss it internally. 3 days later, Desmond called to request another meeting. Gerald arrived alone. "Your conditions are accepted in full," he said. "Eleanor Croft has been terminated immediately, and we are cooperating with investigators regarding Julian Cole. Prism will operate independently, and you will oversee the Inclusive Talent Department." 1 month later, we announced the acquisition. On my first official day at Zenith, I prepared for the all-hands meeting. When I took the podium, I surveyed the room of nearly 300 employees. "Excellence does not always look like what we expect," I began. I showed them our performance data, proving that our results came from questioning assumptions. The talent initiative I will be leading is not about lowering standards. It is about recognizing that we have been measuring the wrong things. In the coming months, every hiring manager will learn new assessment techniques. Some of you may be uncomfortable with this change, but we are here to help this company recognize talent it has been programmed to overlook. The transformation had officially begun. The following weeks brought resistance, but everything changed 6 weeks later when our first cohort of new hires, selected through the Inclusive Talent Framework, completed their initial projects. Their results outperformed traditional hires by measurable margins. Identifying overlooked talent was not just morally right, it created a competitive advantage. 3 months after that, Zenith client satisfaction reached its highest levels in company history. The most satisfying moment came 1 year later, when Gerald appeared in my office. "The team you assembled did excellent work on the expansion project," he said. "I have been reviewing the candidates we rejected over the past 5 years who were later hired through your department. I consistently dismissed people who did not fit a certain profile, including you. I need to ask, was this always your actual goal?" I considered my answer carefully. When Eleanor dismissed my experience, she was reinforcing a system that consistently overlooks excellence. My goal was not to become her boss or prove her wrong. It was to ensure that system could not keep hurting people with valuable contributions to make. Gerald nodded. understanding now what I was trying to accomplish. 2 years after founding Prism, what began as my personal quest for validation had transformed an entire industry. Zenith inclusive talent approach became the new standard, with competitors scrambling to replicate our results. My revenge was not in humiliating Eleanor or taking her position. It was in systematically dismantling the arbitrary barriers that let mediocre gatekeepers decide who deserves opportunity, ensuring they could never again dismiss someone like me. Have you ever been underestimated? Share your experience in the comments below and subscribe for weekly stories of redemption. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and let us know what industry gatekeepers need to be challenged next.